Okay, I think we'll just get going. Uh, I don't know. We were a little heavier on the early session, so this might be it for now. Um, we're going to do two parts here. Mason, Katie, I'll talk about earned media a bit. Katie will talk about social media. We'll try to move kind of quickly. We've been catching up decently over the afternoon here, but um, when I say earned media, I like to think of our media subset as falling into one of three. We have our earned media, our owned media, and our paid media. Katie's obviously going to talk a little bit about owned, because when we say owned media, it's stuff that you have and you manage. You own its content, you write your website, you control what's on your social channels, you control who's getting your emails and what those emails are. A lot of the examples I'm going to bring up here are screen grabs and stuff from my Jets days, because that was when I was doing the most event stuff. So this is just a screen grab of an event page that we had with the Jets. Paid media is also pretty straightforward. It's stuff that you pay for. This is a newspaper advertisement we did with the Jets. There's all kinds of breakdowns, right? We have just digital display advertising today. You can pay to boost social. Katie will touch on that. There's SEM stuff. You pay for billboards, you pay for radio ads, you pay for newspaper ads as well. But with radio and newspaper, I like to think of them as paid media with a little bit of a differentiation, and that's where we get into earned, because radio and newspaper are themselves content sources. You can buy an ad on the air, you can buy an ad in the newspaper, but itself is also a content source. You're buying a commercial space in that newspaper or on the air, but that's also where you get your earned media. Because earned media is stuff that you earn. It's worked for. It's content space inside of the content sources. So we're going to reporters, we're going on the air, we're going to the paper with our stories. So even though we might have an advertisement in the paper, we might also try to get some earned media for our event. Radio, TV, newspaper. Social media is becoming increasingly a space for earned media, as well as positive reviews. When I like to think about earned media for this exercise, it's a little, because it's events based. We're going to think almost a little more, I don't want to say antiquated, but we're going to think more about radio, TV, and newspaper. But earned media for managing a day-to-day business is increasingly on social media and with reviews, positive reviews. Incentivizing reviews for any sort of business is trending upwards, and that's something that event marketing can work with. But when we think of especially annual events where you lead up, and we think of earning media through traditional journalistic sources. So this is a screen grab from an article covering a Jets event, but this is a submitted photo right here, and that's what I've circled there. This is not a Gazette article at all. This is just the Jets press release that the Jets wrote, sent to the Gazette, and they ran the entire thing. And this is the other piece of it. This is almost verbatim the Jets press release from that event. Event marketing, earned media is all about how hard you work. There's what you control and what you can't control, and earned media is sort of where you do everything you can and you hope that someone runs what you're telling them to run. In the rest of this press release, I mean, you see two quotes here that a reporter didn't grab those. We wrote them, and they just published it. Earned media is about working for it. Press release is a term that I think gets misused sometimes. So I like to think of earned media as in almost two phases, well before the event and then right after, or during even sometimes. A media advisory is sometimes what people mean when they say a press release. Depending on the size of an event, I recommend a media advisory come at least a week out, sometimes way longer. If it's the bike race downtown, this is a massive event, multi-day, once a year. This is done well more than a week out. Multi-events, biannual, if you've got a monthly farmer's market, special event at the farmer's market, media advisories can come closer too. But a media advisory is the request for live coverage. It's the invitation to the news station, to the newspaper to come cover it as news. Because of that, we want to think broad terms. This is actually pretty brief, a media advisory is. We're thinking it's 100 to 150 words. It's the quick, where to be and when, what's going on with this event, here's who to contact, see you there hopefully, right? Sending media advisories ahead of time, multiple times, is different than a press release. They have, form follows function. The function of this is different than the press release. Press release, and here's another one from my days with the Jets that was pretty much run verbatim. I like to do after the event. It's the recap. I'm writing it for them. If a media did not attend, they still have something to publish. We still get our event read about on the air, printed in the newspaper. So you write the story for them. Most press releases are written news article style with that inverted pyramid, big, heavy information up top. And then as you come down into graphs 2, 3, and 4, you get some extra content, a quote from a source, some more detail coming all the way down to, for more information, contact Emily, Arthur, etc. So your 5 W's and your how in the inverted pyramid comes in your press release. I always include photos in the press release because more often than not, they'll run them. If you do the work for the person, they'll meet you halfway. And so when I think about earned media, I think about it that way. It's how can I make it easy for this news station, this newspaper to cover my event? How can I make it easy for them? If you're ticketing an event, consider media passes. In the media advisory, you can make note of this, who to contact for a media pass. And then what's their angle? You have to clearly communicate to this station or this newspaper what's newsy about this event. And there's nothing newsy about my store is open. Come shop at my store. And they get littered with requests all the time from people who want to be in their print and on their air. What's the why there? What's the interest to their audience? A lot of us today have events that have ties to a charitable component. Those are always really important. Those will get picked up more often than not. You find the angle for the media outlet. If you have media passes, which I, again, always recommend, welcome in direct media. You develop relationships with folks over time, reporters from local stations, local news, and as we all know, I mean, that changes over more often than not today. I don't think now that Neil Johnson left the Gazette for Big Radio, I don't think Gazette has a reporter who's been there more than 2 years. So welcome the media when they're there, make connections in hopes that you have long-term relationships, but always work for those relationships. Earned media can be also making it easy for you, and there is a little pay to play here. You're obviously going to get more consideration from local content, local news sources, if you yourself are also an advertiser on those sources. It doesn't have to be high dollar. When I managed the Jets budget, which we were not a nonprofit, we had no C3 status, but I would always joke that we were a no profit. It was a really slight budget, but whatever marketing there was, I tried to make sure that there was some for Gazette, some for radio, because that element was local. Boosting on social is also recommended. What social doesn't get for you is a person and a caring element, ink, airwave. Spend where you want to earn, but make sure too that if you're advertising on the radio, if you're advertising in a newspaper, that you're not just dealing with that sales rep too, that you're connecting to the news person, that you're connecting to the desk, that you're connecting with the kick section, that you're talking to someone else who can get you that earned media, because your sales rep is going to design your ad for you, is going to put it on the air, is going to put it in the paper, and that's it. Sometimes if you have to go outside of them, that's where that effort turns out. Again, all media relationships are still relationships. With the Jets, we had 28 games a year, and like I said, some of them were very big promotions. We probably had 5, I always thought of it as A, B, and C. We had 5 A promotions, 5, 8, 10-ish B promotions, and a bunch of others that I'm not going to spend any money promoting, this night. It is what it is. We had some sponsor on it, but the big ones is where we had to spend. But we were also newsy because we were a sports team. We knew that we were going to get some coverage in the sports section. Things were happening, games were happening, players were getting advanced. But the relationship that we developed over time with the Gazette, I think, not just as advertisers, but as sources of news, helped us get higher up on the fold more frequently than we would have otherwise. This one went a lot faster than the early session, which is good. Questions before we turn it to Katie?
Yeah, do you have, so we'll always send press releases out, and I have like a couple names on who, like CBB. I include the Gazette, like I do news at Gazette.
Yeah.
And I include WCLO. The news at Gazette, never anything. WCLO is almost an instant call.
Yeah.
It's like, so more so, I've never done like the after the event thing and sent out like that.
Yep.
Do you get more maybe from the Gazette by doing that?
I think it always depends on event by event. When I think about the typical structure of a media advisory versus a press release, I think about something, if we were to do a cancer at the Jets, I want some pickup ahead of time so I can sell more tickets, right? So my event can be more successful. The advisory has some details about what's going on. The press release is what we raised. And we're proud, this is done and over. We have the check presentation next week. Here's your story that we wrote for you. And sometimes that's what ran. So the two examples that I put there, the reading club at SSM and the check presentation, really, I had no more tickets to sell for that. There wasn't anything extra there to sell. But the press release that came after, again, I think of it as doing their job for them sometimes, which sometimes you have to. When you talk, on the question about pickup.
Yeah, for like for Gazette, they more so after effect. Wow, look.
Especially, yeah, and CLO.com, just talking specifics on local media too, CLO.com is sort of changing a little bit. It used to be, in my opinion, the best site for quick local news. The earliest headlines hit CLO way before Gazette, but we didn't go into detail, and that's changing. And I will say we stole Neil Johnson because that was an element that we wanted to boost. We hired John Barry for local sports, so there is more in-depth stuff coming to Big Radio's websites. But when you think about, again, different media, different tactics and targets, what's newsy about the event we just wrapped up and how do we take that to radio? If there's 10 minutes to brag, people are always looking for content, right? There's often opportunity for you in earned media that is because of a slow news day. And sometimes you get lucky and someone picks you up because this story just came to me. But to the point about callbacks too, I do think, I mentioned this in the first session, I do think it behooves you to do a little research where you can, almost like applying to a job where you've got the hiring manager's name, you've got a leg up. And sometimes that's easy to find, sometimes it's not, but news at Janesville Gazette, whatever, and I'm not gonna be mean or anything here, but we know what the Gazette's like these days right now. If you can dig a little and you can find who's I remember when it was Greg at the Kicks, I would try to personalize things. Hey, Greg, we got this going on, and that just connects to the relationship building. We hope, of course, that our personalities and our news reporters at CLO and Gazette stay forever and stay as long as we can, because that helps us in event marketing. When we have the same person who knows us, they know Emily and they know what's going on. But here's what's different today. But working hard and developing that relationship helps your future events more than it helps your current event. And I think a lot of us today are thinking about events that are going to be concurrent and multi-annual and again and again. I don't know if I answered anything. Okay. Yeah, no. Okay.
I also kind of, as I was talking through, like probably some of these the after effect.
Yeah, there's the.
I like that idea with the photo included.
Always include a photo. Again, I think about timeliness and I think about what makes it news. that has to be made apparent to them. What is the newsy element to this? What's the headline? And why do I, as the news editor at CLO, care? What's, because, I mean, when I was with Jets, I bothered Tim so many times to get on his show. Yeah, doing my job, right?
Yeah, and they always say
And well, I mean, you throw more darts and you're going to get on the air more. Now, sometimes he didn't answer and whatever. He's a busy show or whatever. But that's what I sort of mean when I say it's, when we think about earned media with marketing, it's often an exercise in knowing what we can control and what we can't. If you do everything you can and you're sending out your media advisories and you're writing stuff and you're taking your own photos and you're making your event as newsy as possible and you're really trying to get that earned media, you're putting it on the platter for them. You've already written the story here, just publish it. That's all you can control. And my experience has been more often than not, they'll take some element of it. Sometimes they'll run the whole damn thing. And that's fantastic. Again, with the wrap-ups, it normally helps next year's event. And, always helps a little word of mouth, whatever it is, because you've got with Jets, some other different event coming. But earned media is about effort. It's about relationships. And the landscape with media is obviously changing. But with events, I think there is, especially in a town like Janesville, where sometimes for better, we're behind some national trends, there still is a lot of impact with traditional radio, traditional newspaper. So paid makes a lot of sense. Earned is what I just talked about. Now Katie will come up and do some social.
Hi, my name is Katie Tranel, and I'm the social media manager at the Janesville Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Like Mason mentioned, I'm going to be talking more on the own side of media, specifically social media. And this, I'll kind of stand, actually I'll stand on this side so I can do the links, but this one slide will be essentially my entire presentation. So we'll just kind of go through them quickly. And if you have any questions in the middle of it, feel free to stop me and we can talk about it. So I really wanted to focus on, with having a relatively short time to talk about a huge world of social media, talk about 5 different tips that are relatively easy to implement right away. So we'll just jump into the first one. So the first is utilizing different social media channels with relevant content and appropriate tones. So like I said, I think we could have a whole day just talking about that one tip, but I did pull a couple of examples. These specifically are from our CVB page, but they can be applied to event planning media as well. So in these examples, oh my gosh, and I'm like right in the light, there's no good spot. Just yell if I'm in the way. So these 2 examples that I pulled that I'm going to bring up in a sec have the same topic, but each of the posts kind of has a different message geared towards the audience that we're trying to reach with each. So obviously TikTok and LinkedIn are very different, as you'll see the posts are as well. Essentially, as you can see, it's a short, fun video about a restaurant in town. It's very much geared towards the audience that we're trying to reach on TikTok, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then if we head over to LinkedIn, you'll see kind of same topic, but a different message in there. So highlighting Janesville Wine Bar, the same restaurant as an event venue. So very much gearing the message towards the audience that we're trying to reach on the individual platform. Pretty self-explanatory. It's all about asking yourself as an event planner or organization who exactly you're trying to reach for your event, and then tailoring it to the platform that you're using. Second, another fun one is posting teasers leading up to the event. So one of the events that I help with for social media is the Rotary Botanical Gardens Holiday Light Show. And kind of throughout the year, I collect questions that we get about that specific event and beyond. But one question we always got was about, if you've never been, they have these milk carton luminaries lining the sidewalk. And I swear, like, the most common question we got was, where do you store them? What happens when they're not in the light show? So this was a post that we shared, and as you can see, it got some pretty good engagement, shares, lots of comments, and that post just organically reached about 18,000 people with no paid advertising. So there's a great way to do it too without having a social media paid budget. It's kind of fun to keep track of those questions that you get, or like behind the scenes that people might not realize about your event. That can be kind of fun to share. And it's also a great way to promote your specific event too. Third tip, create an event hashtag to encourage UGC or user-generated content. And I'll pull up the example quick. This is also on our CVB social media page. And I especially love using hashtags like this on Instagram since it is such a visual heavy platform. Uh-oh. Okay. Hopefully we're good. But anyway, we have ours in our bio on Instagram. And I'll kind of go. So it's essentially just a collection of photos that people have taken using that hashtag. So it's kind of, it can be tailored to events, obviously, and it's just, it's a great way to get photos of your event essentially for free. And it's a great way to start a conversation with people that are actually attending your event and to kind of get feedback from them, ideas. Just a great way to build relationships with people that are already supporting you. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention on that. One other thing I was going to mention is even though people are already using this hashtag, kind of like I just mentioned, I like to reach out directly to them on a comment or a direct message to start that conversation, just to make sure that we can use the photo and kind of kickstart that relationship. Okay, fourth, set aside a few dollars for social media ads or boosts. I know we talked a little bit about organic reach before and planning content that way, but a little bit goes a long way with social media advertising. You can boost, so I'll kind of jump back quick. About the difference between boosts and ads. I don't know if that, I'll just explain it super quickly, but basically all Facebook boosts are ads, but not all ads are boosts. So those are the two main ways to advertise on social media, but yeah, and they both have their pros and cons, which if anyone has any questions about, we can talk about later. But I would say Facebook boosting is definitely the more simple of the two, and better for general awareness as well. Let's see. And just the one other thing I wanted to mention about this is that a little bit goes a long way. So even if you have a very small marketing budget, you can advertise for $1 all the way up to $50,000 a day. So it's very customizable to what you have to spend on social media. But like we were talking about before, organic reach with the right content you can get really far with that as well. And the last one, be engaging. So this one might seem kind of obvious, but this is just an example from the Janesville Town Square Grand Prix Facebook page. This year, there was a new paracycling event the day before, and so we helped promote some of that on the Grand Prix Facebook page. But understandably, people had questions about it, about the course map and race times and things like that. So I think it bears repeating that, if you get comments, try your best to answer them. If you get messages, try and respond back, because it only helps build that human connection between the people that are coming to your event or considering coming to your event and your actual event. So let's see. I don't know if I had anything else. Those were the main things I wanted to touch, and I know we kind of had to go a little quickly. So I don't know if anyone has any questions, but let me go back to the PowerPoint. I did leave my email address on this slide. So even if you think of questions later, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to talk. And like I said, the social media world is so big. So, and it's hard to even scratch the surface in 10 minutes. But I'm happy to talk more if you have any specific questions. So thank you. Thank you so much. I know.
It's been super fun to watch. Like, you just did the farmer's market one. Obviously, that was really cool.
That was so
But
fun.
also the fair one, I
Yeah.
want to figure out how to do. They look above me. I'm like, what the heck?
They're very intensive, but I will say, I have definitely seen the impact they've had, and they are, like you said, they are very much time consuming. But I kind of start on TikTok, honestly, and then you're actually able to download them. So I repurpose them for Instagram. Sometimes I share the same message, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I update the music, most of the times I don't. But it's really cool to see how they perform on each. But I love the fact that they can be repurposed. So even though they are time consuming on the front end, I mean, I use them, I would say, in 5 different ways. They go in our newsletters, they go everywhere. So even though TikTok is a whole scary world that I will never understand, ever, and it is super scary. But I think I think it's reaching a whole demographic that we hadn't been reaching before. And
Good to do an event-specific one.
I think so, because kind of same thing with the teasers. I think there's lots of opportunity to use TikTok on teasers. I'm trying to even think of an example. I'm thinking Flannel Fest, right? Going behind the scenes with one of the brewmasters that are there. Yeah.
Do a downtown TikTok page, but then have Flannel Fest part of it, or would you do a specific TikTok for Flannel Fest?
Oh, that's tricky. I would say I would probably recommend a downtown one.
Yeah.
And then, because with Flannel Fest being once a year,
Yeah.
I think building an audience on a downtown Janesville one would be super beneficial, because then you're getting that, yeah. And then it can be used for all kinds of downtown events. So that's what I would think. But yeah. TikTok's scary, but it's fun to try. So you just got to play around with it. I had 0 experience before I started this job in TikTok, and literally Christine probably thought I was a little crazy, because sometimes I would just sit for 10 minutes. You have to kind of be on it to see the trends and things like that, and just play it, have fun with it. People don't take it seriously on there at all. So it's fun. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much for being here today.